Hi, Jim Moyna here, and I'm going to talk about the Lake Eufaula tournament that starts tomorrow. This is part of the Major League Fishing's Tacklewarehouse Pro Circuit. Yes, it is that lengthy of a title, and why couldn't it just be way shorter? Anyways, this is a May tournament, and here in the South, May's like kind of the in-between time. The spawn's winding down. A lot of the fish then start heading out to their summer habitat, which is oftentimes like brush piles and drop-offs and, rock structure, if they can find it. This lake, it's not a ton of it out in this lake, but there's some. So the question is, like, when I came here, it's like, do I want to key on the shallows? Do I want to key on the deeper stuff? Or do I want to try to do both? Well, they give us 2 days, and it's almost like a mistake to try to do both. Because in 2 days, there's just not enough time, it seems like. And that's part of my problem. I think a guy just has to pick one and run with it and see how, and just see where it carries you to. If you try to do both, which is what I did in practice, it turns out that I feel like I haven't really accomplished much of anything. Although there's a strong case for right away in the morning, there's a shad spawn going on. And by that, I mean the shad actually are spawning. And what that means for a fisherman and a bass is the bass, key on, they see these spawning shad as being vulnerable, so they feed on them. And then, of course, that brings the opportunity to us fishermen. So there is something to be said about fishing shallow and trying to capitalize on that. However, that's going to last maybe an hour and a half, 2 hours, if that. I mean, that's probably like an hour, really. And after that, you better have that deep stuff ready to go, or some other shallow pattern ready to go. In this case, I probably should have spent more time deep, because that's just hard. It's harder to develop those patterns because you got to really spend a lot of time using your electronics, looking for the right type of habitat out in the deeper water. You can't, when you look out across the lake, over the depths of the lake, all you see is water. So you got to have your electronics. In my case, it's Lowrance, and you got to put them to work. I didn't do enough of that, I don't think. I do have some waypoints and brush piles from the last time we were here. Was maybe 5 years ago. So I did check some of those waypoints out, found some of those brush piles that are still there. Didn't catch any. I'm sure there's been a lot of new brush piles planted, so perhaps just fresher brush piles might be the key. Unfortunately, I didn't have the time to find them, because I spent a lot of my time fishing shallow. And there's a lot of dead water out here, shallow, a lot of it. I'm talking like spending multiple hours without much of anything even happening, which is kind of, so be it, So if the shallow water is that dead, then it's got to be, there's either a mid-range stop-off point before they go to their deeper brush piles that they're hanging on, or they're getting out on those brush piles. Somebody will catch them. They always do. You know that. So, anyways, the weigh-in tomorrow is going to be a 3 Central on boat 6. And that means, so I'll be weighing in like very quickly after 3 o'clock, because I start to weigh in at 3. That's when I'm due to check in. Some guys get in a little bit early, so they will start shortly after 3. But I'm usually the guy that's like one of the last ones in his group to get to the check-in boat. So let's say I'm there at 3, then it takes me 5 to 10 minutes to park the boat. Well, it'll take about 5 minutes tomorrow to park the boat. Then I got to grab a bag up my fish, and then get in line. So it'll be like 3:15 or so before anybody sees me on the weigh-in stage. Okay, other than that, that's about it. Just some big fish vibes are always needed, always welcome. So everybody have a good night.